Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, good evening. This is Caitlin Hayes from Spiritualize Yourself radio show. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I did. I'm grateful for that. But I'd like to speak with you all about the creative force that's within you and the little promptings that you get to create and the limitations that sometimes result in you not taking the creative actions, even if it's in a seemingly mindless creative output. So first I want to start with a prayer for our root chakra, which is our chakra for manifestation here in this reality. So right now I have a red candle lit to cement the color direction for this podcast. So our root chakra is governed by the color of red. So when you're in a manifestational plane, to think about the color red and the base of your spine is a useful pursuit. So first I want to just say a prayer that through this conversation regarding creative force, that we're able to understand deeper our role in creation and also understand the responsibility we have to clear the way for creation. Okay, namaste. Okay. Along the lines of our lives, sometimes we were dissuaded from engaging in creative pursuits for various different reasons. So that's one factor. I want to set the tone for the conversation. Another factor is sometimes if you have a perfectionist type complex, you wouldn't even necessarily start to paint or to draw or to mold clay or to play music or to dance on your own accord. That's the second consideration. And then thirdly, the understanding that creativity is a direct energetic line from divinity. This has been documented in many different types of artistic endeavors and the like. I recall a story hearing of Michelangelo and Beethoven. When artists are in their zone of creation, time stands still to a large extent. It's a time when you're fully devoted to what you're creating. The intensity of the force and the flow of that creation is blissful. You're really aligned. People can find that if they're cooking or preparing something, if they have a real a chore that they enjoy doing that's therapeutic, like sweeping and whatnot. When you're in a creative force field, the desire to create is not even in existence at that moment. You're in the active state of creation at that time. Okay, so I'm framing the conversation with these three things. And I want to fall back on these three things. So the first thing is regarding, the second thing regarding perfectionist inclinations. The third thing is the truism that when you're in a full creative output space, time can stand still. The urge overcomes you when you're creating. And then, of course, the first thing was that somewhere along the line in your life, you may have been confronted with a situation or a person with whom advised you not to, bother with this creative output that perhaps you didn't have advanced skills on or didn't have an aptitude for it. So, starting with this part, the blockages that can exist to us fulfilling creative urges are numerous, and they're going to be specific to what you're doing, what you've experienced, your frame of reference. Part of the opportunity we have in this instance, you're listening to this, you're interested in tapping into your creative flow. So part of understanding the instances that you weren't really supported in that, and somehow along the way you didn't feel that you were able to be creative or to express yourself in the creative arts through writing, through reading, through poetry or painting, the real creative outlays, even jogging. Actually, a lot of people get into that jogger zone. It's similar zone with creation. So take a moment right now, and we're going to go into a place of creation for yourself, a place where you want to create, where you're willing to tap into your place of creation. Even scrapbooking, organizing. And as you're desiring to be a force of creation, I invite you to kind of connect now to your highest self. Try to send an intuitional request to kind of connect to, the source of divine intelligence, the real source of creation. Because us as, creators, energetically, we're connected to the highest manifestational consciousness. There's a lot of different degrees to that, and even within our own communities and within our own group of friends, we see that there's a distinction with, some people that are more rattled by emotional distress and those that aren't, people that are a little bit more advanced in their thinking, and those that are more vibrating with the gossipy kind of frequency. So, and now we're focusing on a root chakra. Now we're inviting the divine intelligence, which goes all the way up our chakra system into the highest chakra and beyond. And if you can get to that place of resonance and understand as a concept that our creation flows from the source of all creation, divine intelligence, you can see that us being creative is allowing for creative force, for God's source to flow through you and to create, to share that with other people. When you're in that place of creation, it's nothing short of that. So now it's a matter of understanding where the disconnect lies from the source of divine intelligence through your chakra system down to your root chakra. So if we were doing this as an individual practice, what we would do is we would go through your chakra systems and ascertain where you kind of feel physical resistance in and where your disempowerment may lay. And we could go over some of the experiences that you had and how they interplayed with your feeling of worthiness of creating now. But now I'd like you to return back to the root chakra area in your spine and imagine you manifesting all your creative pursuits that you may have. So if you have an itch to paint or you have an itch to start a company or an itch to enter into a partnership or just an itch to, scrapbook or just create something that involves colors, even graphic design. Where are your inclinations? Where do you want to create now? And imagine 3 things that you have an inclination that you'd like to create. So now you have the 3 things that you want to create. And now go through each one of them and recall some episode in your life or some relationship in your life that somehow made you either believe procrastination was okay, something happened where you didn't believe that you were good enough to create, or you're so put into a certain box professionally that you're not able to engage in another pursuit comfortably, insecurity regarding the output and what others may regard the output as. And once you've identified some of the limitations on your creative output, you can acknowledge them. Acknowledge that they're there, and you can lovingly release them from your experience, that they no longer serve you. And you want to do with the other two things that you want to create. What are you yearning to create? What is the image that you see yourself creating? What wants to be born through you, through that connection of divine intelligence to your third dimensional reality here? And all the while, breathing deeply is really important. So you can bring the space of the stillness of the air into what you're considering. Because truth be told, that sometimes creating is a truest testament of really showing up to your life. Right? If you're not creating and you're hiding behind some mental falsity or some dysfunctional way of thinking that's prohibiting you from creating, it's a travesty. Right? We have to get over ourselves in order to fully show up, to let go of our hang-ups in order to fully show up. So continue this exercise. Continue in your root chakra, in your manifestational plane. And you should feel a loosening in your root chakra. And as you connect also into your divine intelligence, as you start to feel the urges of creation that you have, you can hear new promptings and be guided into other areas that you're being called to create in. So all those other emotional issues, which, I mean, this is just one exercise. It takes time to release things, but focusing on one or two creative projects is a great way to down the blockages and break down the associations that you may have with your worthfulness in creating, with your ability to do something outside of the box, with your confidence in following one of your inner promptings to create. There are huge milestones in overcoming issues and relationship issues and perceptions that don't really serve your highest good. And of course, you always can fall back on your third eye as opportunity to take insight and intuition for guidance. Our body is this amazing spiritual system, and these emotional baggages, they block our homeostasis. I'm not saying that there's an instant manifestation. Perhaps there's a different dimensional realities, but on our dimensional reality, we have an idea, we have a thought, we have some sort of divine idea coming from divine intelligence that wants to come through us. And even if you're a cake baker, or you create food that is holy for you to do that, it's a source of creation. So connecting into that flow is very powerful for you in your kind of spiritual citizenship. Because everything that you create, when you're coming from this higher plane of reality, and you're cleaning your blockages so the out product isn't getting tainted by your emotional dysfunctions, you're contributing to the highest good of all. is the ripple effect. So you can start to feel some cyclical movement within your body system. And you can feel, and there's so much out there in terms of information on your chakras, if you have stomach issues or if you have issues in your organs and your body. You know, oftentimes these are emotional issues that have manifested in physical form. That's my belief system and many, many others. So you heal the body through healing your spiritual self. And you heal your spiritual self by taking account of your emotions and your perceptions and the way you account for situations in your life. You releasing all of the burden of dysfunction allows you to be lighter, be more free, be more readily able to harness and direct the creative flow that comes through you into productive outputs. Because then other times, if you're not connecting this way and you have these emotional dysfunctions, that's why you have some erratic behavior, some anxiety, some PTSD, because when we're not aligning, with our natural flow from a spiritual perspective, it bounces back at us. That's the physical manifestations. That's the emotional manifestations. So allowing for the spiritual flow, this creative force energy to come through you, you bring a utility purpose to your life. And that confidence building and self-esteem building is more authentic than exercising 3 hours a day and being able to be a bodybuilder that's successful. Because that's the purest form of confidence. So focusing on the creative projects are a great way to break down the barriers into your emotional dysfunctions. So you want to create a painting. Okay, so buy yourself some paints and a paintbrush and a canvas and start painting, right? It should be so simple. A lot of other excuses that may pop up, time constraints, and also perhaps concern or perception from others, maybe your spouse, your friend, your mother. Oh gosh, you're painting? That's peculiar. Aren't you a little old for that? Well, no, you're not. Maybe you end up being a fantastic painter. Or maybe when you're painting, you're able to think of another project, because when you're in that zone of creation, it prompts other creations. You know, you do whatever you're creating well, and then you're prompted to the next thing to create. That's the flow. It's a flow. It's a constant flow. So in doing this exercise, you're doing yourself a justice. Because as you output and as you create, your purpose becomes clearer. You create more things. Follow your promptings, what it is that you want to create. And you follow them, then, other doors open. So I invite you to let your heart breathe. I put my new website up, letyourheartbreathe.com. It's kind of cool. I'm really looking forward to supporting people on their journeys to get over themselves and to stand in a place of purpose and creation. Ultimately, that's what we are here for, I believe, very strongly, that that's the case. So I hope you derived some value from here. Check out Let Your Heart Breathe. And, of course, spiritualizeyourself.com, spiritualizekids.com. And make sure you go on Facebook with the same My Heart Breathes, the spiritual support and whatnot. I just remember that creating is natural, artistically is natural. So everything that stands in between you and creating is unnatural. And that's what needs to get healed and eradicated in order for you to be in that flow, that natural state of creation, the flow of divine idea and then action and manifestation and product and repeat and repeat. Okay, well, namaste. All the very best. Take care. Bye-bye.